All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. Going to be breaking down the first tournament here of the 2025 season. We have the SENTRY tournament. Let's go and get into it. All right, guys, so typically we would get into a recap from the previous week, but with this being the first tournament of the year, we'll just do a quick recap from last year. So last year, guys, outright-wise, we hit a little bit less than we typically would outright winners-wise. Only hit an outright winner in 12 of the tournaments, but all of them were longer shot bets, and so we actually were able to win a little bit more units profit than typically. Over 100 units of profit, 140 actually with some of those longer shot bets winning. So very good stuff there. In terms of DFS, what I measure as success is like cash lamps, cashing 67% on the year last year, which is obviously pretty darn good. That's basically the norm though. Now, looking ahead to the week that we have at hand, we have the SENTRY tournament, which is going to be an event in which is a no-cut event. And it's also going to be an event that's, the first event of the season, the first event in several months that some of these golfers are going to have played a competitive round of golf. And so with that, we do tend to see golfers experience more variance in the results because they just haven't played those competitive rounds. Basically, the more time off, the more likely it is that a golfer is not going to finish as good as expected. You might be wondering what I mean by expected. You guys could look at maybe how Vegas has a player ranked betting wise. The 9-to-5 model has a player ranked betting wise. But the simple summary is that when a golfer has more time off, the more likely their results are going to be a little bit random. It makes sense. If you guys have ever played golf yourself, you know that in the middle portion of the season, your golf game is typically much more in line. Now, with this being a no-cut event, we do know what to do strategy-wise for DFS, which is going to be to do a studs and duds approach. We'll get into that in a little bit. But this week is going to be an interesting week in terms of outright betting or just betting in general because we know the strategy DFS-wise to do studs and duds. So we typically are not getting to the middle portion of the field, but we do know that some of those kind of randomish golfers can win this event like we saw with Chris Kirk last year shooting minus 29. So that's going to be a portion of this. And also looking at this week, guys, this is going to be a week in which the weather could play a factor. Typically it does. Typically this is a more windy event. We do see that the wind right now is about 20-mile-per-hour winds, and leading into Thursday is going to be about that as well. But going into the weekend, as it sits right now, not that windy. When the wind gets over 15-mile-per-hour winds is when we have to start worrying about it changing potentially who we should be on, when we should start to look at, good wind players. We don't exactly have that just yet. One day. And again, with it being a no-cut event, we're not going to really see a significant tee time advantage. So that's definitely interesting there, although I could see that end up changing as the week progresses. And so we go ahead and take a peek at which golfers have the best course history with at least one or at least two starts here, so multiple starts at this track. We're going to see Collin Morikawa and Sungjae Im popping up in there, and that should tell you already maybe what we're going to be looking at key stat-wise. I'll jump into that in just a second. Then we have Xander, who's played extremely well here. So we got three golfers on the top end of the field in an event where we're probably going to be doing studs and duds that have an average finish of top 10 or better. So that's going to be encouraging there. From there, Brian Harman popping up in there, so a little bit lower price, but has good course history. Fitzpatrick, Max Homa. And so we're already kind of painting the picture of maybe who we should be looking at stat fit-wise. Let's jump into that. So stat fit-wise, what we should be looking at is kind of these golfers that have this long iron accuracy, which is going to be denoted by key stat number 3 here. Okay, this is an event where it's played on a course that's a little bit longer. Again, the widths can play a big difference. So with that, we do tend to see the golfers with longer iron accuracy and longer iron scoring tend to pop up a little bit more here as players we should be looking at. So I was a little bit surprised to see the first two, Harry Hall and Kevin Yu. But again, with this being a studs and duds event DFS-wise, we're probably going to be looking at those two players a decent amount because of just that single stat. They are both golfers that can go out and score. We have Sam Burns popping up in there, Xander, Aubert, and then Jonathan Vegas as well. He's going to be someone that's going to be a good stat fit for us as well. And so we look at the total top stat fits. We got Sam Burns, Xander popping up in there, Matthew McCarty, where we don't have that much data in on him, but if we just adjust it for the events that we do have, pretty good stuff. Tony Finau, Aubert, Taylor Pendrith popping up in there, and then Max Grayson. So I mentioned there's going to be some players kind of in that mid-tier range where outright-wise or DFS-wise, I might not be on them, but outright-wise, I might want to be. These are two of those golfers, and I'll touch on that as the video progresses, but I did want to call that out to you guys. Both good golfers there. So let's jump on into the golfers with the best of recent form. And again, guys, recent form, we're going to kind of say that in quotes, maybe with an asterisk, because none of these golfers have we really seen recently, especially in terms of competitive rounds. Again, the more time off, the more random the results are going to be. If you look at someone like Max Gracerman, who was playing elite golf during the fall swing, well, this might be a kind of a natural reset for him. And maybe, that groove that he was in during that fall swing, he might not be in as much. We also have some of these golfers like maybe Xander, Sungjae, Sam Burns, Patrick Henley. Obviously, it's a new season. We don't always have the best news in terms of which players are maybe getting a new swing or new equipment and how that's going to change how they play. We will get that as the, first month progresses, but we might not have that information just yet. So we want to look at recent form. It's always encouraging to see golfers playing well. It's just not as predictive as it typically would be during the middle portion of the season. And so let's go ahead and jump on into the high tier. Which players are we going to be going out of our way to roster this week? And again, guys, for DFS, we want to be looking at these guys, probably at least 3 of these guys above 9K. Now, outright wise, I probably will be ending up on the top 3 players that I mentioned here as well. The first one's going to be Xander Schauffele. Basically, if he gives us his finishes over the last few starts here, 10th, 12th, and 5th, we will take that. That's a good floor, but we do want to finish really as the top 5 if we're going to be paying up for him. That's really the one concern with Xander this week is going to be the pricing, 11K. But to me, this does kind of feel like the year of Xander. And I say that with a little bit of a hesitation because he won 2 majors last year, right? Like that was kind of the year of Xander as well. But with Scotty Scheffler being a little bit banged up, the stars are kind of aligning for this to really be a year that Xander puts the foot on the pedal here and really just dominates. Now, outright wise, if you want to bet him, you could. You can get him at 7-1 on Bet Online. I don't hate that. First round leader wise as well, I don't mind that as well. But I do want to call it with Xander. The last time we saw him was at the Zozo Championship, which was another no-cut event. Okay, guaranteed money event where if you're not playing all that well, you're not going to really stress trying to play well again. It's kind of just like, oh, well, shoulder shrug, move on into the next event, which is what really can happen in Hawaii in this nice weather where you're just like, oh, well, I'm on vacation now. I don't see that happening with Xander here. I think he's going to be ready to go to play well at this tournament, so I'm more than happy to pay up for him. And so I do think, given the constraints that we have this week, he's going to be a good starting point for your lineups. Now, from there, we do have Colin Morikawa as well. Just going to be the second best pick here in the 9-to-5 model. Just an easy kind of click here at this price tag as well. So with Scotty and with Rory not playing, we are getting some of these studs a little bit cheaper than they should be. I would argue these 2 players should at least be 11.5. Again, given the fact that we are going to be doing studs and duds builds, that would kind of negate our ability to be able to do that. And I should call it the reason why that is because 1, this is going to be a scoring fest, but 2, the position points are what matters the most. If you can get those boosted points for your DFS builds by attacking some of the studs that are likely to finish top 10, you're going to gain an advantage on being on those players instead of, let's say, being on a guy that's around the 8K that ends up finishing top 15 compared to a guy in the 6K range that finishes top 25. The birdie difference is really going to be the difference maker there, and we should be able to find enough players lower on that are going to be able to make up that difference there, whereas you can't really do that on the top end. You kind of need to nail the top end picks, and we can maximize our floor by chasing some of the studs. And obviously, Colin Morikawa going to be one of those studs. I actually kind of like the odds that we're getting on him as well. So Bet Online seems to be the favorable sportsbook right now. 13-1 odds there for him. You can get him at 11-1 odds there on Bet MGM. So good stuff there. And again, with him, Zozo Championship's the one kind of bad data point that we really have coming in. Again, how much do we care about that? I don't really care about that at this point. So other than that, great course history. Again, 4 straight top 20 or top 10 finishes here. Good stuff there. Not as good of a stat fit as I would really want for the guy that's the second ranked player in the 9-to-5 mile, but still top 10 in the field. We're okay with that. And then a couple of other players. I do really like Patrick Henley here, guys. Like, again, at this price tag, if we're locking in at around a top 15 place finish, that's okay. I would want a little bit more out of him, to be honest, though, but he's still going to be a stellar play. And then to me, guys, the play I want to really call it is going to be Sungjae. So I love the course history that he has here, and so I will be chasing that. So 5th, 13th, 8th, and 5th. So really great stuff there course history-wise for him. Like the odds that you can get on him as well. 18-1 across the board, basically. So very good odds there. Again, we look at him. Form has been a little bit hit or miss. Like Wyndham Championship, FedEx St. Jude, 40th there. BMW Championship, 10th, and then 7th at the Tour Championship, and then 13th place finish at the Zozo Championship. Now, he has been someone that has clearly proven that he is good to go at the start of the season, and so that's encouraging, and that's why I'll be more going out of my way to target him. So now let's jump into some more of these dark horse golfers that we can be on, and one of those golfers is going to be Corey Connors. So he's really ranking out extremely well in the 9-to-5 model. I should call that out. Okay, so third best player in the 9-to-5 model. Now, one thing that I want to call what the 9-to-5 model does measure is both safety and upside. So Corey Connors having an extremely long made cut streak of 30 straight events. He's obviously going to be someone that typically ranks out well because of that consistency. Consistency leads to us being able to, well, properly being able to value a player. And so naturally, the 9-to-5 model values him maybe a little bit more than it should in a no-cut event. And I phrase it that way because he doesn't have the best course history here, guys. 33rd and 18th place finishes here. Not the best, but not terrible there as well. Do I want to bet him outright-wise? I don't know. Like, if Chris Kirk can win this event, someone like Corey Connors could certainly win this event here as well. 30th there. Now, I do want to take a peek at his specialist data here because I want to see if he plays well on these longer tracks. And if you guys are not familiar with specialist data, that's taking a peek at that week's tournament's unique course characteristics. So seaside event, longer course, kind of easier scoring event. And so 25th in the field in location. So Hawaii events don't exactly love that. Weather, I have it set as bad weather, which is about 20 mile per hour winds. So I'm kind of expecting that. 16th in the field there. Scoring, 16th. No cut events, 25th. So not good there. And so, yeah, maybe I don't want to be on him as much. But overall, none of these are too concerning. We look at it, he's still the 5th best specialist. But when we really dial it in, again, that length could end up being a reason as to why we don't get a top end finish out of him. So from there, the next player that I want to highlight is actually going to be Max Gracerman. Again, a golfer that was playing extremely well during the fall swing. 4th place finish at the Worldwide Technologies Championship, Zozo Championship, 2nd. Just really good stuff from him. Dating back to the middle of the summer there as well. But again, that's part of the issue is that's a long time ago now at this point. Will he still be playing that great of golf? Tough to say for sure. But at the same time, if he does come in with that good form, this price tag is probably a little bit too cheap. Now, we don't have any course history on him with this being his first start here, but we can see he's the 7th best stat fit in the field, okay? So stat fit wise, pretty better percentage, 3rd in the field, 9th in terms of ball striking. That 200 plus iron game, that's a concern, okay? 26th in the field there, okay? That could be the reason we look back and say, all right, that's why he struggled. But he does rank out top 10 in par 5 scoring. In terms of easy scoring events, guys, 2nd best in the field. So that's encouraging. Bad weather, he's someone that can play well in bad weather. So 2nd best in the field. Should call with Max Gracerman. Not a huge sample size, but that is going to be encouraging. Length, 12th in the field. So not terrible there as well. All the other data points, though, a little bit concerning. So he is ranking out as only the 29th best specialist, but still a player that as price tag is popping up. I should call out that the model rank that we have here, 11th, whereas the 9-to-5 model, which is not really factoring that much of the betting odds, 6th in the field. Okay, so definitely interest in there. The model rank is pulling in the betting market data and adjusting the ranking accordingly. And for what it's worth, the DFS projections that we have, like fantasy points, that's going off of the model rank. So then from there, guys, we need to get into Taylor Pendrith. So he's another golfer that is making his first start here over the past 4 years. So that's really the biggest concern with him. Okay, he's going to be an elite stat fit across the board. He's someone that can hit the long ball. He's good with long iron accuracy, just across the board. Really good stuff there from him. He's really just coming in kind of, if you will, without that course history, checking all the boxes besides that. Okay, form had been pretty solid the last few times that we saw him, but we just haven't seen him enough. And I think that's really why he's priced this cheap. And so both him and Max Gracerman are players that at like 50 to 1 odds, I'm kind of okay getting there outright wise. Like if they stay hot, I do think that there are 2 golfers that could find themselves in the mix on Sunday. Now let's go ahead and jump on into that value tier range. Okay, Aaron Rai is going to be someone that's popping up to me. Just, strong kind of form, 14 straight made cuts. Again, form relatively speaking. Coming in off of a 4th place finish in his last event. He's typically a very good long iron player as well. 6th best in the field. Or sorry, that's ball striking. 30th best in the field with that long iron. So maybe not the best there, but we have seen him be a good long iron player in the past. But at that price tag, I'm fine getting there. But I really think I want to be looking at some of the scorers that are this low. And so like Jonathan Vegas to me, guys, like an elite play in terms of scoring. Now, he is so hit or miss. But the thing with Jonathan Vegas is it's typically a round by round thing with him. And we do see some upside finishes from him. So it's a no-cut event. We know that he's going to be someone that can go out and score. And if we are getting the good side of Jonathan Vegas, I'm happy to get there, especially at a price tag of 6.4, especially in a no-cut event. I'm happy to get there with him. Good stat fit. You do have McCarty down there as well. That's going to be a good play. But I actually like getting to Kevin Yu a decent amount here as well. So he's not going to rank out really well in the model. That's a concern. Only 47th best in the field. But he's also going to be someone that's going to be a very good stat fit here, especially considering where he's priced. And so again, he's someone that can go out and score. That's going to be encouraging to me. He's someone that can get hot as well. And so again, another thing that's encouraging to me. Can we really trust him through and through? No, but again, at the price tag, given what we know to be successful in no-cut events, he's a good option. So now, guys, make sure to give a like and subscribe. We're going to go ahead and get into my favorite core plays and outright bets if you guys want to use them. All right, so core play number one is going to be Xander Schauffele. His odds have gotten a little bit more pleasing for us, I guess, for lack of a better term. You can get him at 5-1 on most sites. Again, you can get him at 7-1 on BetOnline AG, but he's just that golfer that's coming in, checking all the boxes this week. Really good course history. We saw him play extremely well, minus that Zozo Championship where he finished 41st. Prior to that, really good stuff. I expect him to show up and be ready for this week. So I am fine getting there to him as an outright bet. If you're placing maybe 5 outright bets, I'm fine using him there. Continuing on, we do have Patrick Cantlay. Just at his price tag, I feel like he is a safe price play. I do like maybe getting to Collin Morikawa a little bit more or Sungjae Im. But still, he's going to be a great play, and I do like the pricing of him. He feels like a very safe play. We see that course history. All good stuff. Want them to be a little bit better, decent stat fit, but he is someone that maybe had a little bit of a down year last year. I expect him to have a little bit of a better year this year. So we go ahead and jump on into the next core play. That's going to be Collin Morikawa. So again, guys, really going with those top-end golfers here. Pricing-wise, 10.1. I think that's a little bit too cheap. You can get him pretty good odds across the board. Right now, about 10-1 on DraftKings. But since I made that graphic, you can get him at 11-1 on BetMGM or 13-1 on BetOnline. Really just across the board, a great play. Then the last core play I'm going to be on is a player I didn't mention in this video. That's going to be Nicolas Echeverria. So I really like the pricing on him. He's obviously coming in some really strong form, finishing second in his last event and also having a first place victory mixed in there as well. He's a pretty decent stat fit given his price tag, and so I'm kind of okay getting to him as a play as a whole. He also played at this event last year, okay? And so if we're looking for a long shot bet, I think Echeverria is a play that does make a decent amount of sense. You can get him at 125-1 on PointsBet right now. So very good odds there. But for DFS purposes, you're really just hoping that he outproduces his price tag. And I think he's going to be able to do that for us. And so getting into a quick first look build here for you guys, putting those core plays into the lineup, we have about 6.2 left over. And so we could go with someone like Patton Kinsire. I'd be fine with that. I like Kevin Yu, but I actually don't mind the idea of actually getting to Jonathan Vegas and maybe instead of getting to Cantlay, we could just get to Sungjae. Like, I don't know if we need to go too crazy in terms of jamming in like Cantlay over Sungjae. Sungjae does have slightly better course history, so I'm perfectly fine with a build like this. We're getting scores on the bottom end. We're getting safe upside studs on the top end. But that's kind of my thoughts. Let's go ahead and see what the 9-to-5 data is actually telling us is the best lineup here as well. And so just looking at the 9-to-5 lineup builder, it is actually skipping over Xander, which is interesting, and it is trying to go more of that middle kind of more the balanced build approach where it's getting to Max Grayson, getting to Taylor Pendrith, getting to Corey Connors, getting to Sam Burns. I don't hate this build, but this is the issue with these no-cut events is that we typically know not to do that. Now, could this be a GPP winning lineup? Sure. Will it be a build that gives us the best floor? Maybe not. And so that's like, it's so appetizing to go with those players that are, really good players on paper on a typical week. If this was a full tournament field event, would love this build. But again, given the no-cut event, we're better off chasing players that are going to be more likely to win than some of these middle guys where we could just get to someone that's a little bit cheaper than, let's say, Pendrith and go with Vegas, who could end up with similar fantasy score production. So definitely interesting, differing thoughts. I get exactly why this is popping up, though. And so, guys, getting into the final thoughts for this event. Obviously, it's the first tournament of the week. We know it's going to be a high-variance tournament week. I'm not going to go too crazy in terms of DFS or betting. This could end up being a pretty good prop betting week, though, so be on the lookout for any good prop bets that are popping up on the 9-to-5 data. If you guys are interested in signing up for the 9-to-5 data, you guys will get access to prop betting tools for PrizePicks and Underdog, including fantasy golf or including the PGA, which is obviously nice. Included in that, you guys will get access to the cheat sheet that you just saw in lineup builder for PGA DFS as well. Again, it's going to be a high variance week. Again, we typically do like to do more studs and duds in terms of DFS. That's going to do it for this video, guys. Make sure to give a like and subscribe. That does help out the channel a decent amount. Thank you guys for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.